Hello and welcome back to our hot topics. If you are here with us live, go ahead in the comments and tell me who you are, what's your name, what school you're from, and what age group you work with. I would love to see who is live with us tonight. So go ahead and drop in those comments, your name, where you're from, what school you're at, what age group you are, because I want to know who's hanging out with us tonight, because at the end I have a surprise for everyone who joined. And so go ahead and drop those. I'll be using those comments for a little surprise towards the end. So tonight's hot topic, what is a hot topic? So if you've never been on our training before, we do different topics each week on different things that you may experience in the classroom. Sometimes we're focusing on learning center. Sometimes we're focusing on group time. Sometimes we're focusing on lesson planning. Sometimes we're focusing on teachers, self, behavior, all the things. And so every Tuesday at 7:30, we go live in our group as a training for you guys to learn on different topics for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. There is a way you can earn your certificate, and I will talk to you about that in the end. But just show up. Invite your staff members. We're going to be talking about some amazing things tonight. All right. So who do we have over here that is in the chat? All right. So we have Ms.Rebecca. She says it feel like forever. She's a toddler teacher at TLE. Hello, Miss Rebecca, and welcome. Who do we have here? Okay, Miss Tabitha from Lincolnton, North Carolina. She works with 3 and 4-year-olds. Hello, Miss Tabitha, and welcome to our live. I am your host, Dr. Carolyn Bob Green, and I am your early childhood expert. I am your mentor. I am your ISEE bestie. And so all things early childhood, we talk right here with Train You to Succeed. And stay connected with us. Stay on our page, because more and more we're adding more things to our Facebook page, and we are going to be relaunching our group. And so stay tuned for that, because you definitely want to be in the group, because you'll get more activities and more notifications. And right now you're watching this on our page. If you are watching live right now, you're watching from your phone, up by the video, there are 3 dots. If you click those 3 dots, you'll see a drop-down menu. And at the bottom, it'll say, notify me when this page goes live, or notify me when Training to Succeed goes live. Guys, take the time to hit that button, because sometimes I go live and it's not a hot topics or a planned training, and you want to know that I was live that day so that you can watch the video or get the information that I'm sharing. That is the way you're going to know every time we post a live, we go live, we post the video. You have to turn in your notifications so that it'll come in your notifications and let you know that we are here. So, welcome. So, what are we getting into today? As you see my shirt, a little bit dramatic. And see, I am always being dramatic. And I know that in the early childhood field, there are some dramatic things that are going on and happening, and teachers need support and help. And sometimes you can talk about them, sometimes you can't talk about them, sometimes you don't have anyone that you can ask questions to, or sometimes your staff member doesn't know and can support you, and sometimes it's very hard to connect with the director. So Mr. IC right here. This is Mr. IC. Everybody say hello to Mr. IC. He sees everything. And so he is going to look into my Sticky Note Chronicles. And so when I do trainings, I put out my little bucket of sticky notes and have teachers to write different things that they may want me to talk about in the training, or that we could talk about on our hot topics. And there are a lot of sticky notes in here from teachers who have drama or different things in their classroom that Mr. IC needs to read and talk about with you guys tonight. So tonight we're going to dive into that, and I am going to pull out the first sticky note, and Mr. IC is going to scan over it, and we're going to talk about some of these things. And guys, these Sticky Note Chronicles are real things that are happening in classrooms. You may be experiencing that or know someone who is experiencing, so hang on with us and listen to what these sticky notes are saying. So Mr. IC, what are you seeing today? He says, this one says, can't discipline them when they refuse to listen. Mr. IC, are you seeing that? He's seeing that and he's shaking his head. So this sticky note says that this teacher is having a hard time with discipline and guidance. She's like, how can you discipline them when they're not even listening to you? So how many of you are having some teachers who are dealing with behavioral issues? Or yourself, you're dealing with children not listening to you, saying, no, you're not my mom, I don't have to listen to you, or not saying anything, just doing totally opposite of what you're saying, or it's going in one ear and out the other. So when it comes to discipline and guidance, this is a very hot topic, and it is dramatic in the early childhood industry. It is causing teachers to walk out and quit because behavior is so far out of control. It is making teachers not want to go to work each day. It is definitely drama. And these kids are coming in with these severe behavior issues that you feel like what can I do? I can't control them. And my question is that if you can't do anything, what makes you think the parents can do anything? And a lot of times this behavior is consistent across the board, and the parents don't know what to do with this behavior. So let me get into this hot topic when it comes to the children refusing to listen to you. So therefore, you can't do anything with them. I'm going to start by saying relationship is everything when it comes to kids. They're not going to listen to you until you form a bond or a relationship with them. Why should you? It's just like me coming into your classroom. You don't know who I am, where I come from, and I'm like, you need to take this down. You need to do this. You're going to be like, who is she? Who does she think she is? That's how kids are as well. So the first thing you have to do whenever you see a child that is having a behavior issue, or they're telling you no, or they're just not listening to you, is that you need to make sure that you form a bond or a relationship. Hey, I'm Ms. Carolyn. Tell me who you are. What's your name? And even if that child has been there for a while, it does not mean that you have a relationship with them, because it may be a child that has never had a behavior issue before, and now they're displaying these issues to get your attention. So first thing that we need to do is make sure that you have a strong relationship, because that child has no reason to listen to you. One, you have to be consistent and clear with your expectations. You have to tell them what you expect. Just because you expect it doesn't mean that their parents expect it. You cannot assume that a child knows not to hit you, that they don't run from you or laugh at you when you're saying certain things. So some of those behaviors have to be taught, and you have to set that expectation. So if I say come here, and I'm like, hey, I need you to come here, and that toddler or that kid starts laughing and taking off running, okay, that lets me know that that is acceptable in some form or fashion, or you must think I'm joking. So I'm going to walk away for a second, and I'm going to wait until you come back around, and we're going to address that behavior. And I'm going to tell you, when I'm speaking to you and I'm asking you to do something, I mean that. I mean what I'm saying. But the main thing with teachers, which makes it drama, is that we get in our feelings, we become overwhelmed, we start chasing the kid, which pushes them to run even more, or we're just like, you know what, I'm tired of this, I don't want to deal with this, and that child has won. Or we get in our feelings and we start yelling at them and screaming at them instead of walking back saying, oh, okay, we're going to run. You're going to run away from me? Let me walk away, gather my thoughts, because you're not going to keep running in a circle. You have to stop. And when you do, I will be waiting on you to address the behavior that I need to address. Another thing with toddlers and 2-year-olds, when you are telling them to come to you, you're setting yourself up for failure. So instead of saying, come here right now, you need to get up when they least expect it and walk over to them and address them. Because the more commands you give when you're trying to guide them in behavior, the more resistance there's going to be and the more opportunities there are for them to tell you no. No, I'm not doing it. No, I'm not going to have it. So do not set yourself up for that failure. So after you have this relationship and you're setting clear expectations for them and being consistent with these expectations, you have to praise them and reward them when they're doing good and not just get on them when they're doing bad. Then they're going to have a negative relationship with you. Another piece of this puzzle is you're saying that they're not listening to you. But do they understand you? So a lot of times kids don't follow our prompts and our commands because they don't really understand what we're saying. Like you say, go get that thing over there. Well, what thing? So they pick up just something and bring it. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about this over there. So a lot of times, even with our own children, we say things that they don't understand. So they just do something so that they won't be tagged as I'm not listening or I'm not following directions. And so they're just trying to meet your expectations. So you have to make sure that they really understand what you're asking for. They know what that expectation of you, of your classroom, of the circle time, of the center time is. And when I really work with infant and toddler teachers and preschool teachers, I notice that they don't take that time to establish that foundation with their class. And that is why they have so many behavior problems. All right. You seem to catch the replay all the time. We're here, but even if you're catching that replay, hashtag replay Miss Tabitha, and then also comment any questions because I do go back and answer questions. Yes, ratio and no help. Before I even go on, I am happy that you said that, Miss Tabitha, in the comments. Not having help and not meeting the state ratio. That is one of the issues here in Texas and all over is ratio issues. And why do we have those issues? Is because we have a high demand for childcare and a low demand of employees who want to work in childcare. But let's get to the issue of that. The real reason why childcare providers are leaving or early childhood professionals are walking out is because of the lack of support. And the support is not just in the moment when it's happening, it's before it happens. And so that is why I'm so passionate about training, because I believe if you have the right foundation as an early childhood professional, you have the training on behavior. You know how to use your curriculum. You know how to interact with kids, with parents, how to calm yourself down when you're dealing with these issues, and you're properly trained for your classroom, the less likely you're going to walk up and give up on your classroom because you have someone that you can ask help from. You have that mentor you can always go to refuel you and get you back excited when you're dealing with difficult issues. That right there is missing in the early childhood field. That's why teachers are leaving, and that's why we have ratio issues, and that is why we have these behavioral issues in the classroom. So if you're at your center right now, and a lot of times you know you're out of ratio, 9 times out of 10 your director and your owner knows you're out of ratio as well. But sometimes they don't know, and you have to inform them. inform them. But let's just say hypothetically they do know and there's nothing much that they can do. That is when us as early childhood professionals, this word professionals, because sometimes teachers feel like, I can't say anything. Yes, you can. This is when you, after the day is over, you say, hey, to your director, your owner, I really need to set up a time to speak with you. I really need support and help, especially when there are ratio issues. And I find that a lot of times, if in most cases, directors and owners do want to help. They just don't know how to help. And that is when teachers have to step up. And I have had teachers come to me before and say, hey, Ms. Carolyn, today was a really rough day. I was overwhelmed. And the first thing I say is sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about some of the issues you were having for the day. And let's recap and see how we could have set ourselves up better for success. And I'm going to also come in and pop in and give you a little bit of encouragement as well. And if you're noticing that you're not getting that overall support and you're really passionate about what you do, you may need to take on a mentor outside of your building and really talk to them and give them your side and help them to bring some perspective in to help you in your classroom. And so it happens. Ratio is a huge issue because of the shortage of staff, and it happens all the time, sometimes in corporate childcare, sometimes in privately owned childcare. But as an early childhood professional, you have to make sure that your voice is heard, but you have to do it in the most professional way possible so that you're not looked at as a bad teacher that's always complaining and always negative and always have something to say. But it has to be said, because being out of ratio does put you and the children at risk. And licensing, whenever they do an investigation, they're going to ask you, what did you do in order to ensure that you were in ratio? Did you notify someone? Did you say something? And sometimes we don't say anything at all. We just take it instead of letting these concerns be. And that's where the drama comes in. That's where the overwhelmingness come in. And that's where the walking out and giving up on your classroom comes in too. Not having support. In a center, as a center director or as an assistant director or even as an owner, you're pulled every which way. And I have had to have that time where I set on my timer where I'm going to walk around and check on my teachers in the classroom. But seasoned directors do that. Not a lot of times new directors are directors who never worked in a classroom or don't understand. So you have to sometimes go with your issues and say, hey, can we sit down and talk about this? Because I want my classroom to be the best place possible. And so I hope that kind of helped you with addressing some of those ratio issues. If it's a little bit more that you want me to go into, please put that in the comments and I'll be more than happy to dive into that issue. But when it comes to these discipline issues, it is going to get crazy when you're out of ratio. And one kid will cause the classroom to spiral out of control. And so my advice to you is when you see the behavior going in that direction, immediately get over to that child to keep them from causing a huge disruption in the class. And sometimes going over to them and kind of stroking them and saying, hey, we need to get back on task and making it a positive thing will keep them from getting upset and you telling them no and them getting mad and throwing things, because we know how 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds can be whenever they want something. And whenever they want something done, it's like either my way or the highway is the attitude that they have. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the comments and see. Yes. Relationship is key. It is. It is what I work with from the very start. From the first month, I truly work to form a relationship with every single child before I start anything. And guys, I don't care what your curriculum is, you can make relationship week as a part of your curriculum. And that is when you're getting to know each child. What I used to do is I was very intentional and I would pull 3 names and I would make sure that I spent time with those 3 kids for the day so that I had that one-on-one time with each kid and no kid was left behind. And I noticed that even with myself, my focus was really on behavioral problems or kids that needed extra support. And so sometimes some of those other kids will get left behind. So I had to be intentional about picking the kids that I really wanted to work with today. Yes, being back and forth on giving up, I have been there with you, both as a teacher, as a center director, as a owner. Like I I'm leaving this industry. Like, I'm about to walk out. And it is because of those day-to-day things. And let me tell you something, I'm very real. We are human. We have feelings as early childhood professionals. Kids can hurt our feelings. Parents can hurt our feelings. Directors can hurt our feelings. And so in this industry, we're dealing with a lot of pieces, not just the kids' behaviors, but co-workers' behaviors, directors' behaviors, owners, kids, parents, all the above. And sometimes it makes us want to give up. And that's why you have to find that thing that is going to refuel you every day, or that thing that you can go to and do every time you face that situation. And one of my things was a restroom break. Like, I would call them like, hey, I need to go to the restroom for a quick 2 to 3 minutes to get this. And I would go in the restroom, I would splash my face with water, and I would look in the mirror and say, Carolyn, you want to make an impact. You want to make a change. And your change starts right here. So don't allow those situations to overwhelm you. Like, I have sat on the toilet and cried in the bathroom because the behavior in my classroom was so bad. Or because a staff would not listen to me, and I was trying to help them, and my feelings and my heart was hurt. And so I had to go and regroup myself so that I could go back a stronger and better person for that issue that I was dealing with. And you have to recognize that button in yourself when it's pushed way too hard, that you need to come out and take a deep breath. You cannot stand the beating, because that is what's going to make you want to give up. So walk away for a second, take that deep breath, come back in and say, okay, what can I do from my perspective? How can I bring a positive energy back to the classroom when it's a lot of negative energy between me and this kid? And sometimes stepping away does help the situation. Yes, ongoing classroom observation should be done by directors. This helps find out what teachers need help with. And the day-to-day, and as you know, Kat, day-to-day operations, a lot of directors are pulled, especially when they work for corporate or privately owners who have them doing all kinds of things, and they forget to get those teachers. And that's why sometimes as teachers, we have to take ownership of our classroom and our situation and go to that director and let them know, not in a complaining way, but in a solution way. Say, hey, how can we brainstorm some ways to help this kid in the classroom? Because if you're coming nagging and complaining as a professional, it's kind of like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, how do you want me to help you? And then that director or that owner becomes offensive, and it's kind of like, oh, like what do you, like, they're overwhelmed with their job and now they have your job. So we have to come to in a solution-based way. And that is a tip that I'm going to give any teacher that I work with. I don't care what you're going through. Think of a solution and bring some solutions to the table so that we can brainstorm and work together. And yes, you can start off, be like, hey, Carolyn, this is my pity party. This is my complaint session. All I need you to do is listen, and then we're going to talk solutions. And then I go, okay, start. And they're like, oh my God, this class is horrible. I cannot stand it. I want to quit every day. And I know that they're just ranting and raving. I'm just like, go for it, go for it, go for it. And they'll go, okay, I'm done. I'm like, okay, so now what are we going to do? Then we can brainstorm solutions. And I open up that space. I'm like, okay, you're finna complain, go right ahead. And so now I'm not looking at that teacher like, do you have that attitude when you go in your classroom? Or like, what's happening? Because I know that they're in their vent mode, and we all need that. And then to go back and find solutions to the problem. Everybody needs an ear that needs to listen, just like the kids. But on these hot topics, I mean, this is a really good one. It's like, they refuse to listen to me. They won't listen. Well, why should they listen to you? You have to give them a reason to listen, and also set your expectations so they can't listen. Okay. So let me see what the other topic is in here. This kind of talks about to Miss Tabitha. So let's see what sometimes Mr. ISEE, he be acting up. So I got to try to get him on the right way. All right. So what is he seeing right now? This teacher says, I'm alone in the classroom. That's number one. And number two, my school requires me to do too many lessons. Alone in the classroom. Okay. So how many of you actually work alone in your classroom? Like, you're in ratio, right? But you're alone in your classroom. I'm going to give you time to answer. When I was a 3-year-old teacher, when I had 15 kids, I was by myself. When I had 30, I had an assistant teacher, but I might as well have been by myself. So here is my biggest tip to you if you work alone in your classroom. You hear this, Mr. IC? Mr. IC, you hear this? Are you taking note of this? You see it? You see it? I'm telling you about it. Your second teacher is your classroom. It should train and teach kids what they can and cannot do. If you are alone in the classroom, you have to establish an environment that is a teacher in itself. What does that mean? What does that look like? What does that look like? It looks like organized learning centers, boundaries set, signage that tells kids how many kids can go into that center, zones and borderies, carpets that separate, tape that separate, pictures on the shelf so kids know where toys go. Your classroom has to be your second teacher, and you have to set time aside to establish that environment to say what you expect. If you have large open areas, you're telling kids to run. If you don't have your shelves labeled with pictures and where things go, you're telling kids to put things back wherever it goes. If it's not organized, kids don't remember where they took it off the shelf. They don't remember where it goes just because you put it there. Your classroom has to be organized in a way that it becomes your second teacher. Oh, by myself at the end of the hallway, always from a bathroom. All right, so he sees it. He sees you, Miss Tabitha. He sees you. He sees you. He knows that you're dealing with these issues. So, sometimes you're alone. And I am going to address pottying when you are in the classroom by yourself and how to really work with that as a teacher, because sometimes as kids are busy, that one kid has to go to the bathroom and you're trying to observe them. Also, with that piece of the puzzle, if the bathroom is not in your classroom, like trying to work that deal out as well. So, here are some solutions for being alone in a classroom. One, you have to be overly prepared. Your lesson plans, activity boxes, everything has to be organized to a core. Your environment has to tell kids what they can and cannot do. And you have to train helpers. When I say train helpers, I mean 2 and 3 year olds in your classroom that can assist and help you, be your second eyes, be your monitor, let you know what's going on, and give them a badge and let them know that they're the helper for the day. And they're letting you know when kids are out of centers. They're letting you know when toys are not out. They're the bathroom monitor if the bathroom is in your classroom. That way you can keep an eye on that kid. If the bathroom is outside of your classroom and you have to gather up everyone to go to the bathroom, I have 2 recommendations for that. One, work with your center director or assistant director to see if they can stand in your classroom while you take the kid to that kid. If that does not work and that's not an option, what you're going to have to do is have everyone freeze where they are. Have a backpack with Ziploc bags and activities in it. That way, when the kids are sitting in the hallway or sitting up against the wall waiting for that kid to go to the bathroom, you have individual bags to give them for them to explore, to play with, whether the bags have Play-Doh in them, whether they have magnetic letters in it, whether they have Unifix cubes, whether they have Legos in it, something for them to do while you are, while that kid is going to the bathroom or while you're assisting them in the bathroom. And so those are just some tips. If you guys need more, I'll be more than happy to go into that as well. But a lot of times when you're alone in a classroom, it is really hard. When she said that there's too many lessons, sometimes we can be over planned and it is not conducive to get some of the activities done. And I've seen some lesson plans that are just like that. What happens is you have this large group lesson and your circle time, and then you have all these small group lessons, but you barely got one group done, and then you have to get to this, and then your director requires you to post things in an app. You have to go this way, that way. So what I would do is set a timer for each of the activity, and if it doesn't get done, remember that you can pick up for it the next day. And if it doesn't get completely done, like it took a little bit longer, just make a note of that to the parents and say, hey, we got so busy with this activity, but we are going to pick up with it in the morning. A lot of times on your lesson plans, some of those activities can be transitional activities that you do with the kids while they're at lunch. So for example, you can combine story time with your lunchtime. So while they're eating, you're actually doing your big book and your story time. That way you're combining some of those activities that you would set like 10 minutes aside or 15 minutes aside in your day for. You're bringing it back and you're doing it as a transition activity. So you're getting more done at one time, as opposed to going, okay, this is letter time, this is word wall time, this is big book time, this is science time, math time. Sometimes you may have to couple those activities and make them learning center activities that the kids learn about in your circle time, but you're making it a child directed activity a little bit later. So I hope that helps. You replace tape almost every week. So the tape should eventually come up. Like, kids should learn those boundaries, and so the tape should actually come up. Or if you don't want to use tape on the floor and the tape is just like too much and you constantly have to replace it, maybe you have like carpet boundaries, like they have to stay on the carpet with it. Or what you can do is use plungers or something to create stop signs and say, hey, don't go past this, or put little cones down to keep the kids in the center. So you may want to switch that up if you notice that the tape is coming up and it's a little bit crazy, especially if you have carpeted floors. That tape can get a little crazy whenever you're transitioning. So if that's not working for you, you can set cones out or find some other ways to control those. Ms. Tabitha, you have 3 and 4-year-olds, because slowly you should be gradually removing the tape because they should know those boundaries or start to learn the vitamin. She has a kid that comes straight in and rip up the tape on Friday. Like, I have to bring this comment up to the screen. Okay, she says, girl, I have a kid that comes straight in on Fridays and rip it right up. That is absolutely hilarious. That a kid pulls up the tape off the floor. And that kid may have a sensory issue. And so what I would do for that kid that actually rips up the tape, give them a activity or an area where they can do that. Because I always tell people, if a kid is doing something, they have a need to do it. So give them a place where they're able to do that. Say, hey, this tape is for you to help me rip up, but the other tape has to stay on the floor. And then if they leave it on the floor, give them a little reward for not ripping up the tape. I noticed you didn't rip up the tape today, so now you get to go to my treasure box. And especially if they really understand those rewards, like make it an incentive not to pull up that tape, especially if it's a once a week kid or a kid that comes in and do that. Serve that need. So whenever I tell teachers that kids are dumping all the toys, well, because they need a dumping station, they need that need fulfilled. And he might like that. Like, I have a kid that if they see like one little peeling something, they will peel that paint off until it's gone, because they just like to pick at those different things. So try that and see if it works with him, and give him some okay, yeah, that's why he's nonverbal. So it's that texture. You see that on the floor, he just wants to get it up. So fulfill that need for him by giving him a place that he can do that, and then letting him know that this color is not for ripping, this color is for ripping, and that will kind of help him. Or, ask him to help you replace some of the tape and have him rip it while you're putting it down, to give him an incentive to not want to pick up that tape. But I have kids that are like that. It'll be like, that paint was peeling just that much. Now the whole piece of paint is off the wall, because they just pick it and pick it and pick it and pick it until it comes off. And that's usually my children who have like textual issues, that they autism, they're somewhere on the spectrum, or they have oversensory load, so they rub and touch things, or they have OCD. And children with OCD, they cannot stand things to be out of place, so they will pick and pick and pick and pick until it goes away. So if you're not alone in a classroom, I'm going to recap that. Go ahead and make sure that you try to set your classroom up as the second teacher, as an environmental thing, and make sure that you're planned out. I know you took my command station training. So with the command station, I went over with setting boundaries and making sure that your classroom is organized and it speaks to the kid and set those limitations. And then if you are having too many lesson plans because you work for a corporate school or you work for a center that has like, you have to do these components each day, especially like with some of the schools that I work with Head Start, they have to have this part of the day, that part of the day, this. And so the best way to get that and squeeze that in is looking at what things can you do during transitional times, like when you're going to the bathroom or when it's right before nap time, when they're eating lunch, whenever you finish an activity early. How can you capitalize on doing some of them in learning centers? If you have to have a science lesson every day, why not set that up in a science center so that it's open and available? You teach the lesson and then the kids can use it as a child-directed activity throughout the week. So hopefully that kind of helps. She said, I have Velcro dots in my classroom. Once my little ones learn to not pull them up, they work beautifully. Yes, it does take time for them to learn. Like these are things that you have to instill in them and expect it. So even with that, I transitioned from clips to Velcro pieces, and the kids really start to see like the development. Like if I knew that they were going to struggle with the Velcro because they would pick it off their picture, I would use clothespins with their pictures and teach them how to use that. Or what I would do is I would put the spots down and then I would just put a sticky on the back, like a piece of tape for them to use, and then replace it every day until they got used to using it. But all of these things, from the tape to the Velcro, remember, like I said before, you can't expect them to know how to use it. You think that they would know not to pick it off or not to pull it up, but they really don't. They don't, because they have not even seen it before, or they've never touched it before. They've never been exposed to it. So what we have to do is really train them the way that they would be. And think about it like this as a teacher, because I'm your teacher in the classroom. I can't expect you to know something like, putting tape down to create boundaries, or using Velcro to make notes, or the fact that you can put things in a backpack with activities. I can't expect you to know those things unless I train you and I give you the ideas and the tips. The same mindset you have to go with a child. They are a blank slate. So you have to assume they know nothing about a classroom. Even if you're like, well, they've been here for 4 years, or they've been in childcare their whole entire life. It doesn't mean that they were taught how to behave in your classroom or how to meet your expectations. I say that all the time when I get a new teacher. I don't care how much experience you have. I start from scratch because I cannot expect that your old school taught you what you need to know to work at this particular school. So with our kids, we have to treat them as if they are a blank slate and really train them until they really understand. And sometimes that can take up to 90 days for that behavior to be formed and created. So those are some of so Mr. ISEE. So I am going to open it up for you guys to put some of your concerns in the comment section, and I will address those or anything that you would like to talk about. And I am going to go with one more sticky note for us to talk about before I get into your concerns. So this is: parents need to help at home with potty training. Potty training. So if you've never taken my potty training boot camp, I am going to do it again in our group for free. I do a full out potty training boot camp to go over how potty training should work. So Mr. IC, should I tell them some things that we should talk about with potty training, some tips? Mr. IC says that the people on this live need to hear this, and we're going to talk about potty training really quick. So the reason why parents don't help you with potty training is because they don't know they need to help you. They think that it is your job as their teacher to potty train them and get them right. But in order to have a successful potty training, your admin and yourself need to be on the same page, and y'all need to train parents. Demand that they attend potty training before you begin potty training. That is the only way in the world that you and the parents are going to be on the same page. Otherwise, you're going to do all the work at school, and when that child gets home, they're going to regress because the parents are not on board. And no one under the sun can tell me that they can't enforce it and can't make it happen, because I did as a potty training teacher that was a toddler teacher. So I started my potty training boot camp when I was a toddler teacher, and I went to my admin and I told them, I said, the only way we can make this successful is if I had an opportunity to train and meet with the parents, set this expectation. I went to my admin, they were like, Carolyn, parents are not going to listen to that. Well, how are we going to get this potty training? And so my director and my admin trusted me, and we went and we built out this training to present to parents, and we told parents what we needed for them in order to have a successful potty training. After I did that as a toddler teacher, all the parents were like, we would have never thought of this. We would have never known. We just didn't know. Everyone told us that it's your daycare's job. It is your school's job to potty train your kid. Thank you for educating us. And parents want to be educated. They want to know. And sometimes they don't want to know. Sometimes they don't care. But you have to force them to care and to be a part of their child's education. And when we shift as early childhood professionals, these parents will shift as well. And I did that as a teacher. When I was a director, my owner or my admin, they were like, we can't do that. Parents are going to leave. No, they're not going to leave. They're not going to leave. They're going to feel like they're a part of the community, and they're going to feel even better. And so even as an owner, I implemented that in my center. It was a requirement, and our potty training success rate was amazing. We had a 90% success rate with the kids who were in potty training boot camp, given that child did not have special needs. And we actually potty trained 4 autistic kids who were nonverbal, and the parents were shocked that we were able to do it. Why? Because we were consistent. The parent was consistent. The kid picked it up and they learned it. And we even had kids that had autism that would get potty trained quicker than the kids that were typical. So you cannot tell me that it cannot be done, but parents and children have to be on the same page with the teacher in order for potty training to work. So parents are not going to do it unless you force them to do it and you enforce it and your administrative team does it. So when we do the potty training boot camp, if you are a toddler teacher, I would get your owners, your directors, everyone you know, even parents on that training to hear about potty training and how potty training is going to work, so that everybody is on the same page. And when everybody's on the same page, there is success for that child. That child is successful with potty training, and you can do even more things with the kids in the classroom. Another thing with potty training is potty training and doing curriculum at the same time. How does that work? And what I do is I used to regroup my kids, and the ones who were potty training had a different expectation and a different schedule than the kids who were not potty training. And so those are tips and tools that we do go over in our potty training boot camp, and we detail out how it's supposed to be set up, what are the responsibilities of the owners and directors, what is the responsibility of the teacher, what is the responsibility of the parent, and what is the responsibility of the kid, because it's going to take all 4 parties to come together to make for a successful potty training routine. Yes, planning according to the weather of your classroom is so important. And I do the same thing with myself. Like, I plan according to how I feel for the day. So there are some days that I don't get on camera because I'm like, ooh, I would scare somebody if I went on camera. So you have to plan according to the weather of your classroom and the mood of your classroom. If kids are really struggling and there's a lot of crying going on, it's going to be a lot of pushback for that day. So you stay on schedule, but what you're doing as activities should be flexible so that kids are not being pushed and forced, especially when they're having a rough day. So still have your circle time at the same time, still have your learning center time at the same time, still go outside, keep your schedule the same, but what you're doing inside of those times may be different, because you know at circle time, maybe everybody just needs a hug and we need to talk about feelings at circle time because everyone is sad for today. Yes, you may have a different lesson plan, but based on the energy and based on the weather of your classroom, you may have to intervene and change up lessons, change up activities that are in that allocated time because that child needs that right then. So I hope that helps. Guys, you guys are on fire tonight. Drop some fire and some comments. I love the interaction. I like when I'm talking to somebody and I'm not just live talking to myself. So if you are watching this on replay, make sure you hit that hashtag replay so that I know that you are here. And it also sends me a notification to go and check the comments, because maybe you see something in here and you have a question about something, or you want to drop your hot topic for me to talk about, and I can go in and answer you and answer those questions. So being live with us tonight, I am so excited that we have a couple of people live, and I have a wheel going that has picked two individuals. Oh, wow. Okay, I am going to address that, Miss Tabitha. We have two spots available. I believe in mentoring teachers. And what we are really doing here at Train You to Succeed is we're kind of restructuring how we do trainings and really connecting with teachers on a one-on-one basis to give them a mentor or give them the support that they actually need in a classroom. Why? Because I know that it's rough and it's hard. And so right now we have these hot topics. We are building out a new community for you guys. We are doing some group thing, and you're going to start seeing Training to Succeed grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and do more things for teachers. And it is my mission to impact as many teachers as possible, because I know when I do that, I impact children. So what we have done tonight is that we have chose two teachers that we are going to give our power hour to. Normally we charge $49.99 for a power hour with a teacher, and what we do is we spend 1 hour with a teacher, and they either talk about their classrooms, they can do it in their classroom, they set the time, we are on a live video with them, and we give them coaching tips, whether it's about their classroom, whether it's about lesson plan, whether it's about a child in the classroom, but it is our power hour for that particular teacher. And we give them all the tips, and then they can schedule more, or they can get on a subscription that gives them an hour a month to go over different things. And so we are giving away 2 power hours to 2 individuals that are on our hot topic tonight, to sit with them, go over how they can grow as professionals, go over their classroom, give them tips for a whole hour. They get to spend one-on-one mentoring time with me and my team if need be, if we need to extend the hour further. So tonight on our hot topic, we have our first winner of this power hour, and that is Miss Tabitha Johnson. So Miss Tabitha, if you would take the time to inbox Training to Succeed, your email address, we're going to set that power hour up with you, and we are going to bring solutions and make you the best early childhood professional that you can be. Our second winner to our power hour is going to be Miss Rebecca Boras, and she is going to get that power hour one-on-one time with me from Training You to Succeed, and love on her and her classroom for the hour. So you guys are going to get that one-on-one mentorship from us, to love on you, to pour into you, just for showing up tonight, just for being here and showing us that you want to be better, because neither one of you guys are directors, neither one of you guys own a school. You are early childhood teachers that decided to get on our training and spend your time to become better, and we want to reward you and make sure that we are doing everything possible to grow you. So that is our surprise for you guys. So I did hear another situation, and I am going to address it. Directors who don't want to help, who only help certain people because of favoritism. And I'm not going to sit here and say it does not happen. I'm not going to sit here and say that all directors are great or should be directors. Just like some teachers shouldn't be teachers, just like some owners should not own a daycare. So if you are dealing with a difficult director who just doesn't want to help you, she acts like she doesn't like you for whatever reason. Sometimes we act like that towards kids as well. We don't know why we don't like them. We just don't like them, or their temperament is not right. What I would do is make a point, make an example. And the way you do that is by being the best that you can be and getting the help that you need to be able to be the best you can in your classroom, because directors come and go, owners come and go, but you could be the staple that is in your classroom. And that is my best advice. I had a director that did not like me, and I used to be like, why doesn't she like me? Like, why doesn't she talk to me? And she wasn't there for long. She got replaced with somebody else, and somebody else came in because she didn't fit. But I made sure that I stood out and I did what I had to do, and I spoke to her. I was gracious to her. I did my part as a professional, and she did what she knew how to do, and it wasn't my role. And sometimes with people, and I'm not saying that this is the case, sometimes directors are intimidated by their teachers. Sometimes they're intimidated by a staff that used to be a director, who have a good relationship with parents, who connect well with other staff. But her issue is not your problem. That's not your concern. What you have to do is make sure that you are doing your job and showing up each and every day for your kids, and then just put your blinders on. And so what I used to do, be like, hey girls, hey, how y'all doing? How's everybody going? I go in my classroom and I do my job. I don't care who likes me, who doesn't like me. I maintain standards. I make sure that I do what I need to do. I love on my kids. I connect with my parents. And if you don't like me and you don't want me to be here because I'm doing my job, then fire me. And I'll go somewhere that aligns to my standards and aligns to my philosophy as well. And so there are some times when things like that happens and people are mistreated, or they get like, what's wrong with me? Like, what's going on? And I say, you just stand up and you be the best and prove them wrong, and show up. My classroom is the best. Everybody want to come to my classroom to see things. And when I ran into that director years down the road, it wasn't even me that she had a problem with. She just had an attitude, period. She just wasn't happy with her own life. And so therefore she, did what she did. But I didn't allow that to stop me from growing, because I knew my purpose. I knew why I showed up to work every day. And I knew I was there for the kids, not her, not my coworkers, not anybody else. I was there to show up to make sure that that child reached their full potential. So if you're struggling with that at your job, make sure that you, number one, show up the best way you can each day. And number two, reevaluate yourself and ask yourself, is this the best environment for me? And if it's not, really start thinking about positioning yourself in a place where you can show up and be happy every single day. And I hate to tell teachers to leave their job. I hate to tell them to quit, because there's such a turnover. But if something is not aligning to your philosophy, you have to do that school a favor and remove yourself from that situation and go somewhere where you can align to what they believe. I say the same thing for teachers. When I interview a teacher, if that teacher don't align with my philosophy, I'm not hiring her. I don't care how short I am. And when I go somewhere and I work at a school and I train, I ask them questions. And if it doesn't align to my philosophy, I'm not working there. I'm not partnering with you. I'm not going to train your staff, because what you're teaching does not align to what I say. So therefore, we're going to always be in conflict. So take some time to really think about that and ask yourself, how are you showing up? And then ask yourself, how can you show up better? And if it's still not working, maybe we need to reevaluate where you're at in your role, where you're at your job, and reconsider putting you in a place where you can shine a little bit brighter. So I really hope that answers that question. Good directors know to appreciate good teachers. They do. But sometimes, if it's not a good director, then, and you have a good teacher, sometimes that's a formula for disaster. And it happens so much in the early childhood on both sides of the spectrum. There are good directors that have horrible teachers to deal with. There are teachers that think that they're good teachers and really they're not. And then that director and them are conflicting with each other. But I tell everyone this. I don't care if you're a director or owner or whatever. Show up the best way that you can. Keep a smile on your face. And remember, we're all in this for one common reason. And that is the children that are in our care, to make sure that we grow, love, and develop them in the best way possible. So, I'm happy that you caught our live as well, Miss Tabitha. But that's what we're here for, to rejuvenate you guys and let you guys know that you can do this. I'm not saying at all that it's easy being in a classroom day in and day out, dealing with other people's children, their different temperaments, their different attitudes, their different behavior, and the things that they're going through. It's not an easy task, but we took the assignment. We said we are early childhood professionals. Yes, we are a little bit dramatic, and yes, we do have things that are going on, but at the end of the day, I know if you're here because you want to be here. You're here because you want to grow children, and you're here because you love what you do. It's just some days are a little difficult. And that's why I'm really encouraging you guys to find that thing that when your button is being push, you can go to, and it will rejuvenate you, revive you, and make you feel like you can push beyond the situation that you're in. So I hope that this hot topic with a little bit of dramatics and my Sticky Note Chronicles, as you can see, I got a lot of more sticky notes in here, and we're going to talk about some of these on another Sticky Note Chronicle. But join us for our live. What we're doing, let me give you guys a heads up so that you know exactly the way we're reformulating Training to Succeed. This weekend, I am going to go ahead and pre-schedule our hot topics and the topics so that you guys can pre-sign up for them and get those notifications whenever they come up. So right now, we're just going live with different topics, but I am going to put the list of topics for you guys to register for, just like in the past. We do have a Super Saturday that is coming up in October. Stay tuned. It is a boot camp. It is a preschool boot camp. We're going to be talking about behavior. We're going to be talking about potty training. We're going to be talking about curriculum and lesson plans, but it is a teacher boot camp to get you in shape for your classroom. So we'll be doing that both live and virtual. If you've ever been to our Super Saturdays before, they are awesome, and you definitely want to be at our Super Saturday. Along with that, we will be doing different things on our Instagram and our Facebook page and YouTube. So stay tuned to all of our channels. If you don't follow us on Instagram, go now and follow us on Instagram. If you don't follow us on YouTube, go now and follow us on YouTube, because we're editing and putting out different things. And what's on Facebook is not on Instagram, and what's on Instagram is not on Facebook. And now we do have our TikTok channel where we will be doing some Sticky Note Chronicles on our TikTok channel and talking about some of those things to kind of help you guys succeed in the classroom. Submerge yourself with training, and Training to Succeed wants to hug you. We want to love you 360 all the time. And so the way to get all that love is by following all of our platforms. That's Instagram. We're at Training to Succeed on Instagram. We're Training to Succeed on Facebook. We're Training to Succeed on YouTube. And we're Training You to Succeed on TikTok. So go over and follow us. All of our past hot topics are on our YouTube channel and inside of our Facebook group. We are organizing those so that you can find them. And what you guys will see is that we are forming a group, a Facebook group, and inside of the group, it's going to be more organized and in aspects of guides, kind of walk you guys through it, because sometimes whenever we post on our regular page, the posts get lost with other things. And in order for us to be able to organize this, let's just say you want the guide on learning centers, it'll have all those videos and everything's there. And the only way we can organize it that way is by creating a Facebook group. So in addition to our page, we will be creating a group, and I will be migrating a lot of our things over to the group and leaving general things on the page, because we want to organize our content in a way so that if you're having behavior problems, you can go to that section and see all the things that we've talked about dealing with behavior. If you're struggling with potty training, you'll go and click and see all the things potty training. And the only way Facebook allows us to do that is through a group. And so we are organizing that. Just stay tuned and join us. Invite your friends. Invite your teacher friends to join us, because the bigger we are, the more people we can impact. So invite all your friends over to Training to Succeed so that we can give them all the tips and things that you need. If you see a topic or you want to learn more about something that I've mentioned inside of the hot topics or on a training or on our page, just send me a message via Messenger and say, hey, Carolyn, can we please talk about this topic? And I would be more than happy to integrate everything that you guys want to talk about into what we are doing. We're here to train you to succeed, training you to succeed in your classroom, with your parents, and with your students, and in everything that you do early childhood education. So once again, thank you for joining us for this amazing hot topic where we talked about drama. And if you love my a little bit dramatic shirt, follow our Teachertopia page, which is our teacher boutique, where we have mugs, we have t-shirts, and so anytime you see a cool t-shirt, just come in. I love that t-shirt, and we will send you a link to our Teachertopia shop page so that you can order all your teacher tees from Training to Succeed. Again, thank you so much for being a part of our hot topic. Rebecca and Tabitha, inbox me so we can set up our one-on-one power session. And if you want a power hour, just inbox me and I will send you the information on how to book our power hour, and we will give you all the things that you need to be successful in your classroom. All right. Good night and have an amazing Wednesday at work. Happy hump day. And Mr. Let's see him. Let's see if he can get dressed and get ready, because sometimes he be taking a nap sometime. Mr. ISEE, tell him bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mr. ISEE. I'll see you guys in the next hot topic.